therapy, my son said, I don't feel safe at home. The therapist asked why. He said, because mom keeps changing faces. My son is 7 years old and has never said anything that wasn't completely literal. He doesn't do metaphors. When he told me the soup was a little spicy, he meant it had one black pepper flake in it. When he said the dog smelled kind of bad, the dog had rolled in a dead raccoon. So when he said his mom keeps changing faces, I did not think he meant she seemed different lately. I thought he meant exactly what he said. My wife Chloe laughed it off immediately. He means my skincare routine, she said to the therapist. I wear these sheet masks at night. They probably look a little strange. Our son, Cody, shook his head. Not the masks. The therapist, Dr. Osi, leaned forward. Cody, can you tell me more about what you mean? Cody looked at his lap. Sometimes mommy looks different, like behind her eyes. Chloe laughed again, but it came out a beat too fast. Kids have wild imaginations. Dr. Osei wrote something down. I watched Chloe watch him write it. Her jaw was tight. On the drive home, Chloe said Cody was clearly just anxious, and we needed to cut back on screen time. I nodded and said nothing, but something had lodged itself in my chest. Here's the thing about Chloe that I could never explain without sounding crazy. For the past 4 months, she had been slightly, almost imperceptibly off. Not in any way I could point to. She still made coffee the same way, still laughed at the same things, still called her mother every Sunday. But sometimes I would say something, a reference to a trip we took, or an inside joke, and there would be a half-second pause before she responded, like a loading screen, like something buffering. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself marriage was just like that sometimes. I told myself a lot of things. 2 nights after the therapy session, I came home late and the house was dark, except for the kitchen light. Chloe was at the table with her laptop open. Normal, fine. Hey, I said, you remember that bed and breakfast in Vermont? The one where the shower drain was broken and we had to call the front desk at 2 in the morning? She smiled. Oh god, yes, we were there for our anniversary. Which anniversary? A pause, just a breath too long. 3rd, it was our 5th. She said 3rd without blinking. I went upstairs and sat on the edge of our bed in the dark for a long time. The next morning, I dropped Cody at school and drove to Chloe's sister's house. Petra opened the door in her robe and looked at me like I lost my mind. I asked her one question. When's the last time you actually talked to Chloe? Not texted, talked. Petra's face changed. She keeps saying she's busy. I figured you 2 were going through something. How long? 4, maybe 5 months. I went through the filing cabinet in the basement where we keep hard copies of documents, birth certificates, tax returns. I found what I needed in the back. Chloe's old expired passport. I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I went upstairs and looked at my wife. The shape of her nose was the same. The color of her hair was the same. But the passport photo showed a small scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood fall she told me about on our 2nd date. The story was specific. She'd been chasing her brother through the kitchen, slipped on a wet floor, caught the corner of the counter. My wife no longer had that scar. I called Dr. Osi from the parking lot of a gas station 2 miles from our house. I told him everything. He was quiet for a moment, then said he wanted me to bring Cody in alone later that week. I also called the police. The officer I spoke to initially treated me like a man going through a rough divorce, but I pushed, and eventually a detective named Farrow agreed to look into it. It took them 11 days. What they found? Chloe had been approached 4.5 months ago by a woman in a parking garage. The woman had tasered her, drugged her, and held her at a property 40 minutes outside the city. The reason was financial. Chloe had unknowingly become the sole inheritor of a relative's estate after a death in her extended family overseas, and a distant cousin had arranged to have her replaced long enough to redirect the estate proceedings. The woman impersonating her was a professional with surgical alterations and years of documented fraud in 2 other countries. She had studied Chloe for months before making contact. They found Chloe in a basement. She was dehydrated and had lost 14 pounds, but she was alive. The impersonator was arrested at our kitchen table, still in Chloe's clothes, drinking her coffee. When they brought Chloe out of that house and I saw her for the first time, really her, I knew the second I saw her. She put her hands on my face and just looked at me. She didn't say anything. I hugged her until she stopped shaking. Later, after the hospital, after the statements, after Cody had fallen asleep between us in the bed, I lay in the dark thinking about my son sitting in that therapist's office. 7 years old. No framework for what he was seeing, no language for it. Just the quiet knowledge that something behind his mother's eyes was wrong. He saw it in 4 months when I almost missed it entirely. I will never doubt a word that kid says again.